These are our birthday cakes on the table. We have a cheesecake. We have a chocolate peppermint, totally from scratch, old-fashioned recipe. We have a beautiful cake with Kansas birthday frosting on it. I can't get it, but Tom Parker will have a good shot of that. And here is our refreshment table with the punch and a tornado cake next to the punch.
Go down the highway and you look there, there was room for Sasquatch there, you know. He could be there, nobody's gonna see him.
Did you go to the?
And then I got, they sent me down to Camp Fountain and I went to the training for 3 days.
Oh, didn't they send me to the Marine?
Because I was
I don't like to listen to myself. I want you to stand up and say who you are first, because as we keep this videotape, we're going to say, well, who said that? I see what they're saying and all this, but who is that? So help us out. So I'm Pat Osborne. I am president of the Historical Society and Museum. I have a lot of things that I dragged down here and a lot of things I haven't brought down yet. But we just came by this, and it's rather cool because we like interior shots of businesses that have been in Blue Rapids. And this is my father-in-law's body shop when it was just south of Stanley's, where the office for the Sharp Manufacturing is now. And Art Ross is on the picture, Lyle Godbout, Oscar Harris, and Harold Osborne. And like I said, an interior shot of a business going operation. These guys are kind of grubby around the knees and they've been working, so it's a really good shot. And that's my show and tell for the day. Do you want to start, Bonnie?
I can.
Okay. I'm going to pass this, and any of you, if you have something that you don't mind people touching, but we have some that they're just going to show, I'm pretty sure. So play it by ear and do what you think is right.
Behind me.
I won't take that shot of Bonnie. She'll appreciate that. She's a good friend of the museum. She does our posters for us when I flake out and I can get the information but can't do the pretty stuff. So she's our poster lady.
Well, I'm Bonnie Weitzel. I'm 4th generation in Blue Rapids. We have the 7th generation living here now. This is the plat map, approximately 140 years old. And my great grandfather's farm is up there, and it ran down Genesee and Main Street that I know of, because he sold ground to the Genesee Company when they came and platted the town out. So I'm going to leave this here for their 3-month show. And this is our 7 generations. This is my great granddad and grandmother, Andrew and Sarah Scott, my grandmother, Eliza Scott Irvin, my dad, Charles Irvin, myself, my daughter, my granddaughter, and my great-grandson, all born here. Well, no, I'll take it back. The great-grandparents weren't born here. My grandmother was born here the year before Kansas became a state. So that goes with the plat map. And while I was looking through things, didn't get on my desktop. No. No. This. Yeah, this. No.
You can take him home with you for a while.
Thanks. This is my dad and his 2 mules at the entrance to the old mine. And my dad had put August 9th, 1905 on this picture. The mules are black, jack, and red. And I believe it's the mine down by the Narrows Road, right out across the bridge here. So that's my show and tell.
Thank you. Round the table, do you have show and tell?
I brought some things, but I don't know what most of them are, so I can't really tell.
Well, you can show and we'll chime in with an opinion.
I'm Connie Marcy Bowen, and my family's from here. I brought an album of my dad's, John Marcy, and it has a lot of pictures of people from around here. Dad graduated in 1944, so it's all of his classmates and things. And I brought my grandma's diary, and my great-great-grandma wrote poems, and she has a book published. She lived here in Blue Rapids. That's
And
all.
what was her name?
Her name was Mary Dix, D-I-X, and her daughter, Mary Dix, married my great-grandpa, Thomas Marcy, and he was the postmaster here in Blue Rapids. And that's all I know.
Do you know which post office he worked out of?
It's just, I brought my great-grandma's obit and my great-grandpa's obit, and it just says that he was the postmaster. He was appointed by President Harrison, appointed him postmaster at Blue Rapids, which position he filled in an acceptable manner for 4 years. At the time of his death, he was the police judge and justice of the peace, and that was in 1898. So, that's all I have.
Thank you, thank you. Dorothy?
I brought two things. I'm Dorothy Hula, and I was born and raised here at Blue Rapids, so been here a long time. I'm sure most of you know what this is, but this is what they used to beat their rugs. They used to have center rugs in their rooms, and they would hang them out on the clothesline, and this is, they'd whip them with this to knock the dust and dirt out of them. So.
And that was used by
This belonged to my grandmother, and further back than that, I don't know. I don't think she used it very much.
Which
'cause it's
grandmother?
in good shape.
Which grandmother?
Harris. And then I have a hand-carved shovel that belonged to my husband's grandfather. And further back than that, I don't know. But this belonged in the Hula family, and it has ended up with me. And as you can see, it was a poor piece of wood because the knot fell out. And I'm going to leave that here for him to put on display for a couple of months. So we didn't clean it up, we just wiped it off.
You're not supposed to clean it.
We didn't do anything to it. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I'm Charlotte Tabiran Peterson, and I grew up on the farm right across from the golf course to the north. And that was a Hall farm, and my folks bought that from Gene Hall. And it had this huge barn, if you remember, and a very tall windmill still stands. And a man, Edith Stevenson, a lady in Waterville, her dad built that barn. But in the years, it is sort of when it changed hands and stuff, it became a horse barn. And in it were 3 of these to hang your harnesses on. And so when the farm was sold, my dad took these 3 down and refinished them, and so we'd always have part of that with us. But since that barn lived so close to Blue Rapids, why, we were over here as much as over Waterville, and we just wanted to share these today.
You're up.
I'm Arlen Peterson. I grew up at Waterville, and I've got a piece of old history here at coat. I don't know how old that coat, or the horsehair coat. It was my grandfather who passed away several years before I was born, so I have no idea as to the age of that coat, but it was made out, when the horse died, Grandpa wanted to preserve something from his horse, so we had, the horse was skinned and the hide was sent to Lincoln, Nebraska and made into that coat. I got a lot of fun back at the time of the Waterville Centennial, wearing that coat, I had a full beard at that time, and I would hit a lot of auction sales. If I'd buy something, one auctioneer would say, sold to the grizzly bear. Another one would say, sold to the man in the bearskin coat. And so,
And they were both wrong.
yeah, it's a horsehide instead of bearskin. I can also remember driving a tractor home 30-some miles from an auction sale. The temperature was down in the single digits. I didn't get cold wearing that thing.
We have
It
mittens
weighed
to go with
20-some odd pounds, and it's warm. Well, back in the days when people drove horses around, they didn't have cars with heaters in or something, so they dressed warm, and that was Grandpa's coat.
You didn't have anything? Did you bring anything today, Betty? Okay, Larry probably didn't. How about back here, Mr. Sutton?
Folks, I was born out on the farm, but to move to town, that old rock house down in the north end of town, with the dam, and I always lived there. So I've been here a long time. You're 92.
Couldn't bring the house with you to show the house.
I'll fill in for him.
Okay.
I'm Martha Rickard Sutton. I'm an import. I don't belong to Blue Rapids. But
Yes, you
we
do.
were down here yesterday and they was asking if we had anything, to do with the old bottling works. Well, Floyd's brother used to work there. And we have the first bottles that they used. That was before they got smart enough to put fancy labels onto them. And this is actually some of the juice that they used to flavor the pop. And they used a simple syrup base, and they take hot water and put it in a big crock and then put the sugar in, and that was the basis of your pop, and then they give it a squirt of flavor, and that was all the pop was just, and this is Nevins grape, and I'm sure that nearly everybody's heard of Nevins grape pop, but anyway, and since it didn't have any preservative into it, they'd have to go around and pick up the pop that was left because it could only be on the shelf a few days. So then Roy would bring it home and all the kids would tank up on pop. And then the bottles, of course, had to be returned. It says right on there, they're not to be sold. And they would wash them, fill them again, and they were filled one bottle at a time. So somebody said, well, must have drank the pop faster than they could have filled them. And I said, not in those days, because people didn't buy pop like they do now.
Yeah.
You didn't have 2 cans in your hand and one on the floor. And this here is from Wagner's Dairy. It was called
North end of town.
Hillside
North of
View
Graveyard.
Dairy, and the telephone number is 287. Now, how much y'all to run home and try that?
That's to separate the cream from the milk.
And the notch is to separate the cream from the milk, and this is the little spoon that you use to scoop off the cream. So that you had, and we even have the paper cap that went with it. So, and they were asking me about the Centennial Bells, and I just happened to have a small picture of 3 of us when we were manning the headquarters, and I can't remember where it was, but I think it was in the basement of Spoonall's place over here, but I'm not sure. But anyway, there's 3 of us here, Alice Arnott and myself and Esther Fincham, and that can go around if you want. We're going to leave these here on display, but I'm not going to send them around.
Thank you.
Martha,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question about the rock house.
Yeah.
Now, when I was a kid, Harold Sutton lived there.
Yeah, his folks, Floyd's folks lived in one side. It was a double house. And
Okay.
Harold and
Here's the west end.
Ralph
Double house.
and Dolores lived in the other half.
Okay.
And you couldn't go, there was no doorway. You had to go out on the porch
Well,
and go.
duplex.
Yeah.
It's like two houses put together.
I was before they knew what duplex was.
I was
What's
told
that,
that
house
my
the same the other
great-grandfather
side?
lived
It's
there
like two
too.
houses put together.
Well, it's
In the
possibly,
Two cellar
1800s.
ways and two upstairs ways.
it's possible, but when Floyd's folks bought it, and I couldn't tell you exactly what they bought it, but the one end was being used as a hen house, you know? And Bert, Floyd's dad, came up from, Arkansas. They had moved to Arkansas, which was a big mistake. And he come up here and bought the house without anybody seeing it except him. And when Hattie, Floyd's mother, moved over, she just had a fit because it was a chicken house on one half, and she was expected to live in the other half.
Oh, you didn't go far to get the eggs.
Anyway, they somehow managed to get it all cleaned up because it was a nice house.
Now, Woody Wagner's Dairy down at where Smitty lived,
It's down where,
yeah, north of Fairmont.
Yes.
They took it down to put the power line through there.
That's what I thought.
The north end of town, with the, up on the hill to the dam, that rock house, they took it down and put the power line through there, that's all.
no, they're talking about
Wagner's
Dairy.
Dairy.
Oh,
You missed that part. They're talking about the dairy. Yeah, it was in the north
I
end
thought
of
so.
town.
I thought so.
Yeah.
The house you're talking about is where William and Owen live, right?
No, no.
No.
it's
okay,
down
then I
north
don't
of
know.
the
No, it's
graveyard, north of the
It would be
graveyard.
around there was a road went on around past Harry Johnson's and the Rock House set on that side of the hill.
Okay, because I was talking about the one where Owen and William.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
It was, yeah, the next lot. Well, there was a lot in between Harry Johnson's house and the Rock House.
There was kind of a curve in the road
Yeah.
there too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had two lots, but they didn't take the other lot, they just took the one to the house, put the power line through.
And I have a question. Wasn't there a Nevin's Nursery, a guy that had fruit trees and stuff for sale?
Yeah.
Would he have been a part, I wonder, of this?
No, I don't know. Nevins was just a brand name. I think you said it was Brown, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The pop
John
factory.
Brown.
John Brown.
Oh, that had
He
the
also
bottling
Game
factory.
warden too.
He was a game warden, but he ran this little pop factory as a side.
Okay.
In our centennial book, there's a picture right down here of the,
Yeah, it's a rock house, yeah.
that's the rock house. Okay, so if we want to pass that around.
I think there's a
Double
picture
check
of
it.
the
Yeah, that's
interior of the
okay.
bottling company too.
Yeah.